喂，你今日飲咗未啊？
飲 orange juice？
青紅蘿蔔豬骨湯？
Coffee or tea or me？
飲橙汁？不如試下飲 coffee bubble tea 啦。
Welcome and thank you for joining us on Coffee Bubble Tea Podcast. Today I, Joyce, will be your host and I'm joined here with Samson, Colin, and Tiff. Speaking of summertime and traveling, I think I've always enjoyed the way time seems to slow down when we're traveling and experiencing new things. And indeed, we do know that, time is relative. And when we're experiencing new things and not just living the day-to-day, our experience of that time actually stretches out and lengthens. So today I've asked each person to bring an experience to the table. An experience of traveling, of a summer vacation. And we're going to explore those in a bit more depth. So, Colin, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, so I had a pretty interesting summer travel experience. I went to the Netherlands, I think, 2018, 2019, one of those years. I can't remember now. It's been quite a while. And it was a first time traveling on my own, really. When I was younger, I traveled a lot, obviously, but it was with my parents mainly. And when I got the opportunity to really travel, go out on my own with a friend of mine to different places and that sort of thing, it really allowed me to, I guess, explore the places that I also wanted to do, in addition to maybe more of the more popular touristy kind of attractions. And this particular trip was really cool because it was my first time to Europe too. And going to the Netherlands, I remember the first day that we landed, we basically had to hop on a train to go to Rotterdam. And the good thing with the Netherlands is that English is an official language there, in addition to Dutch. So everyone who was, who lives there knows how to speak English for the most part. So it was really welcoming. But we hopped on this train to get to Rotterdam from Amsterdam, where we landed, and we basically took the wrong train.
Oh no.
And it was funny because we landed in the middle of the Netherlands, I think. We went to somewhere else, basically, in the rural area. And we were like, what do we do, right? So we asked the train conductor there, one of the staff members, we want to go to Rotterdam. How do we get there? And it didn't seem like at the time they really knew how to get there, but for some reason, huh?
Even they don't know how?
Yeah, I think they were like, these guys want to go to Rotterdam. How did they get there? Do they take the train? Did they take the bus? And they were like, yeah, they weren't really sure. But then I guess this lady who was also going there was like, oh, you're going to Rotterdam. Let's go together. And then I was like, okay. So we followed this woman. We walked for 30 minutes to get to the bus stop, and we took this bus. And she wasn't actually going to Rotterdam, but she was traveling, it was the stop before Rotterdam. But the bus, I guess, the destination that the bus would go to would be in Rotterdam. So we followed this woman onto this bus. There was a random stranger. We didn't know anything about her, whatever. And it took 2 hours to get there. So I was on this bus. It was navigating and maneuvering through all the neighborhoods and stuff for 2 hours. And luckily we landed in Rotterdam. That was quite an experience for sure.
Are you used to getting lost?
No. So you can imagine if you're traveling abroad with no real sense of direction there, because it's a new country, new city, everything like that. And we were like, oh man, are we going to just get kidnapped or get lost even more? How are we going to get to where we needed to go? Because we had an Airbnb booked. So we had to get to the place on time, hopefully, before dark. And luckily we did end up at the train station in Rotterdam after taking a 2-hour bus ride.
So were you taking your luggages with you?
Yeah, we were carrying everything with us.
Wow.
How did you decide to go to the Netherlands?
Good question. Oh, my friend, he works at a place that has international offices. And I guess one of his offices is in the Netherlands. So he decided to basically go there, and he would stay a week extra than I would. So he would be working in that office the week I left.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we decided to go to the Netherlands. And it was great because I never been to Europe, and I've always wanted to go.
Yeah.
Just never had the opportunity to go.
So looking back, like what would you say were some of the highlights from this trip?
Oh man, I think traveling on your own versus traveling with like your parents or someone who's like you're just following along is totally different experience. And for me, since it was like one of the first few times that I had gone on a trip without my parents, it was just more about like exploring places, going to meet people, trying different experiences, that sort of thing. One memorable experience that I could say was when we were walking throughout the city, and we didn't have a car or anything, so we were just taking local transit and walking everywhere, which was great. So we would walk, and there was one time where we would walk for hours and hours and hours, and I'd be like, okay, let's like stop and get some food because I'm so hungry. Like I haven't eaten since like 7 a.m. when I woke up. And it's like 2 p.m. now. So, like, let's get something to eat. Yeah. And then my friend was like, nah, let's just keep walking. Like, I want to keep walking. There's probably better places to eat at, whatever. And I was just like, I heard him the first few times, but eventually I was just like, okay, man, like, I really want to eat. Like, can we eat? And I'm not the kind of person to be really confrontational with people, so it wouldn't be really direct in the way I would talk to him. But at that point, something just snapped in me, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I was like, okay, let's eat, right? He's like, no, let's keep walking. So I'd be like, okay, you want to walk? Let's walk. So then I would basically, in a very passively aggressive way, just
Were you walking really fast?
I was walking so fast.
Was he having trouble keeping up?
Yeah, he was just like normally walking. And I'd be like, and then I'd be like walking to the point where like I'd just be so upset and so like
so mad, stewing with anger.
Yeah, I was like, let's walk. You want to walk?
Okay. Do you remember what you finally ate?
No.
Well, was he munching a candy bar or something?
No.
No?
This guy was just like, I kudos to him having the endurance, all that stuff, not having to eat, whatever, right? I'm not the kind of person like that. I need to eat. I need to replenish my energy so I can keep going. But it was just like, we were walking like along the shorefront, and there's like no places to eat at all.
No.
So like we'd have to walk like another 30 to 45 minutes before we would end up at a place. And I'd be like, yeah, it was an interesting experience.
Are you still friends?
Yeah, we're still friends.
Oh, good.
Okay.
But you know what the funny part is? I don't know if he ever like knew that I was mad.
你可以問下佢，你下次我覺得你可以問下佢，
Yeah.
整個黑條黑同佢，你記唔記得？
Yeah, I will probably have to ask him, like, do you remember that time?
Was he already a good friend, like childhood friend?
We grew up in the church together a bit.
Okay.
But, like, we've never really been, like, that close in that sense. So we don't really have a lot of close topics to talk about.
Okay.
But I think we just wanted to travel, and we didn't really have, like, companions to travel with. So we just decided to travel together.
So did that experience change how you would choose your next traveling partner?
Yeah, I think it does make me think, like, do I want to travel with this person next time, right? Just because of that experience. And maybe it's just a lack of communication that we didn't have, or, our understanding with each other about, like, the needs that we have each independently. Like, maybe he doesn't need to eat. Maybe he's a robot. I don't know. I'm definitely, like I said, like, I need to eat, right? Like, and most people do need to eat. So, like, I think it does make me think, like, okay, maybe the next person I travel with, I do need to take into consideration, like, let's get all the ground rules out. Like, what are the things we can compromise on, and what are the things we can't compromise on? Food being, like, absolutely a necessity.
Set meal times.
Yeah, set meal times, all of that stuff. So, yeah.
That's really cool. Thank you, Colin. Thank you. All right, Tiff, how about yourself?
如果話講到去旅行， 呢幾年最深刻，我諗就係 pandemic 之前最後一次去旅行。我嗰次其實係幾特別嘅。其實我第一次同我妹自己兩個人去旅行，因為其實我同我妹好 close 嘅，但係咧因為佢喺澳洲讀書，我喺加拿大啦，所以我哋係南北半球啦。跟住如果大家都知嘅話咧，其實時差係一個好大嘅問題啦 ，time difference 同埋。澳洲放假嘅時間同加拿大放假嘅時間又好唔同，即係佢哋嘅
summer times are opposite.
Yes 所以其實我哋係好少可會話一齊去旅行。我諗應該係從未試過，除咗嗰次第一次之外，咁我 first 當然會有更多啦咁樣。咁嗰次係我哋去日本兩姊妹，咁樣咁其實咧嗰次嘅日本咧係我自我細個，我記得我印象中第一次去日本應該係 around 可能係5、6歲咁樣，咁跟住就已經都 until 我前年嗰次，即係19年嗰次去，所以咧其實我對日本係冇乜唔係好認識。咁但係咧我妹咧，因為佢每年去之前翻香港嘅時候咧，佢咁啱撞啱嗰啲時間咧，都唔係話 peak season，咁所以咧佢係有機會同我爹哋媽咪啊，甚至我姨媽佢哋咧會去日本咁樣，所以其實佢對日本咧有某一個程度嘅認識，或者佢已經去過好幾個唔同嘅 city。咁但係對我嚟講嗰次其實係好新咧，日本對我嚟講。咁啊兩姊妹去啦，咁跟住之後，其實我哋都已經上網 search 定話啊去邊啊，想去邊度啊咁樣。我哋嗰次係我哋去 Osaka 再 Kyoto 係其中一個。
Osaka 喺邊啊
？Osaka 係大阪。係去大阪。Kyoto 係我哋 day trip 咁樣去咁啊，咁我哋好似去咗，我哋去5日嘅咁樣。咁我哋又即係可能又去 Kyoto 啊，又去奈良啊 Nara 好似係咁樣，即係去做即係去到唔同呢啲 city 咁樣咧。咁呢啲咧就你又要搭火車啊，又咩咁樣。我妹咧就唔係一個識得去揾點樣搭火車呢啲嘅人嚟嘅，所以咧全部嘢都係靠我。咁所以咧我就會每日都好 stress 咁樣，起身啦，因為佢又係一個咧叫唔醒嘅，所以咧佢其實嗰個
I hear a tension coming
我係會
快啲起身啊！
我嗌得到都仲係好事，我會嗌到我自己猛咯。咁樣跟住咁就即係每朝早你就會定時定候即係一定要起身，你唔可以太晏，因為太晏跟住你再計埋啲 travelling time、transportation 嗰啲，其實你就會
waste time
係 waste 咗好多時間啊咁樣。咁但係我哋又攰喎，又好想 sleep in 喎，所以其實嗰個好掙扎啊跟住又要諗食乜嘢啦，因為即係你有啲嘢食，可能你好特別去想食嘅咁樣啦。咁有啲就可能一定要就住某啲時間去啊咁樣，因為全部即係我又唔會 pressure 喺 Gavin 食好冇飲，但係真係要就時間，因為你好多嘢都係時間，即係要就得好，同埋我今次去完日本之後咧，即係嗰次去日本咧，我發現哇，大家好早瞓覺嘅日本。
真係
唔係好早瞓覺，或者係應該話佢哋啲餐廳咧都係偏早去收。咁同埋其實我覺得我哋已經唔算住得僻㗎啦，但係咧係即係你入咗夜之後咧，可能你8、9點之後，其實你係冇嘢食㗎啦，即係冇餐廳開。你可以去 Seven 啊、Lawson 啊嗰啲全部買，即係佢哋好方便，但係。
A proper sashimi meal.
Yeah, or a ramen meal. Those kind of stuff like 食蟹啊咁樣，我好想去做嗰啲嘢，但係咧就係因為我哋係啦太早餐，所以其實我哋 miss out 咗啲咁樣嘅嘢咯。
You have to go back.
Yes. 係啊，但係好笑，我記得咧，我係寧願咧，即係如果我夜晚翻到酒店咧，我係寧願會快啲。沖涼啊，落妝啊 K 卡嗰啲，我即刻上床瞓咁樣。但我妹唔係，我妹咧係會 hea 一陣，佢先去做呢啲嘢，which is fine。咁咧就好多時咧，就係我瞓着咗嘅時候咧，我就會突然間扎醒，我同佢講：你仲唔瞓覺？你仲唔沖涼？跟住佢就得。跟住我話：快沖涼！跟住我仲係嗰啲好攰啊，都瞓下醒下，快沖涼！咪聽朝起唔到身啦。跟住之後咧，我又會咧俾啲壓力佢話：你係咪想去邊啊？你自己揾到點樣搭車去？我又會瞓下覺，突然間咧見到佢未瞓覺，我就話：揾到啲搭車未啊？佢話 得，跟住我就會隔5分鐘之後又再得，揾咗未啊？
得。
So are you still sister with her?
哇！
即係我覺得嗰個 experience 係，即係其實頭先可能喺度講話去旅行嘅 partners 啦，即係我都覺得係，即係呢一次係我近幾年好深刻，但係之前都有曾經同其他唔同嘅人去過旅行，其實我都覺得去旅行同你去旅行嗰個真係唔係個個人都得啊，我覺得。即係你唔係同佢好 friend 好傾得埋，佢就代表可以同你一齊去旅行，因為每一個旅伴都係好唔同嘅，我覺得。
Yeah.
係。
And when you travel with someone, you really see more of them than you might like
So
to.
true.
咁所以嗰次就即係我諗我同我妹就係因為我哋由細到大都知道大家嘅性格係邊，所以其實係有好多位就互補嘅，即係都好笑。佢咧係中意孭背囊仔咁樣，跟住咧我就係中意孭啲細嘅斜孭袋咁樣咧，但係我可能要帶水樽啊嗰啲嘢啦。跟住我就會，佢都好知嘅，但係咧佢之後就會攞出嚟呻就係我咧，我個袋係擺唔到落個水樽，咁咧我就叫佢孭。
Wow,
咁跟住
that's
但
love.
係
That's
個問題係我揾路啊，佢
your trade-off.
佢知道呢啲嘢咧，即係佢知道我哋卡都知道得。你幫我咩？得，我會去揾路，我會去諗我哋嘅幫食咩。
Yeah. Oh, that's good compromise. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Tiff.
嗰陣時講即係讀書，我諗 high school 嗰陣時啦，好多時我唔返香港嘅，咁咧就有陣時咧就即係知道邊個 friend 返咗去喎，咁即係成個暑假冇得同佢玩啦，冇得去佢屋企啦咁樣。可能係 grade 7、grade 8添啊咁樣咧到跟住終於有一個暑假咧，我就返去啦 10 or 11 maybe。我成日都笑嗰啲，即係你知細個㗎啦，會即係好多時又串啊啲 friend 啊咁。咁以前咧成日你返咗去啊，呢度好多嘢玩，你冇玩過喎咁。跟住咧跟住到我真係返去咧，就發現其實係好多嘢嘅，因為即係我細個過嚟就小學低年班啦，就冇即係唔會自己出街噶嘛，所有嘢都係即係淨係跟返學放學咁樣。咁到即係 high school 嘅時候返去咧，就好多嘢 explore 啦，即係發現原來好 at home 啊。
In Hong Kong.
Yeah.Yeah.But
it'd been a while since you were back for such an extended time.
Yeah, 之前咧就係好細個冇乜出街，跟住到一返去咧已經係可以周圍 explore， 搭巴士地鐵啊，有少少錢就即係去自己食嘢啊咁樣咯。所以係
Did you ride your bicycle over to your friend's house?
嗰陣時喺呢度嘅時候
No, in Hong Kong.
冇香港
好危險㗎喎。
冇啊 ，actually 我返
I just how did you get together with your friends?
Actually 係啊，我冇 friend 嘅嗰陣時。
Okay,
因為
just by yourself.
Yeah 小學嘅時候嘅 friend 咧，因為嗰陣時冇乜點樣 keep in contact 噶嘛，即係唔會打電話俾小學同學噶嘛，咁所以返到香港係即係差唔多冇 friend 嘅。係到返到去啦，咁有陣時去下啲香港啲 youth centre， 咁就識少少啦咁樣嘅，或者去下 church 咁又識少少 friends 啊，但係都唔會係即係冇咩長嘅感情嘅，嗰啲全部都係新嘅人嚟嘅。
Yeah, so you spent a lot of time on your own.
嗰年喺香港。
Oh, that's nice. No
2-3
travel buddy conflicts.
冇啊。係啦，咁
So what was it like to spend so much time on your own?
Well, it was with relatives then. Relatives 咁，但係 relatives 咧都冇係 similar age 嘅，即係都細我一橛噶啦。哇！我又好中意周圍去嘅。喺香港嗰陣時咧，我就住喺鑽石山啦咁，跟住咦，我求其跳上一架巴士先。跟住咧就搭到去好遠，即係覺得好遠啦，但係其實就係我後嚟大個住嘅，喺馬鞍山啫嘛，就烏溪沙即係之前我哋有一集講 summer camp 嗰度啦。因為 I've never done that。跟住咧即係同埋喺以前細個喺香港就成日都喺 in very urban area， 跟住搭嗰架巴士又出隧道啊，沙田咁樣，馬鞍山咁樣就即係 green is water 咁樣，即係好多嘢 explore 咯。咁另外你知道廟街啦，廟街女人街嗰啲好多 hawker shops， 跟住又去即係大開眼界咯咁。
但係你即係你 Grade 11，你會可能男仔唔同啲，佢夠膽咁樣自己去做呢啲嘢嘅喎。
How old were you? Like 16?
I think when I went back was grade 11.
Yeah.
16, 17.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Yeah, as you speak, that is a really good point. Because I remember going back as a 17-year-old, and I spent 1 week, and I was with my elderly grandma and grandpa. Grandpa would still go to work even in his 80s. And because they didn't trust me to go around by myself, it was like the hardest week ever. Like it was like just going to 飲茶。飲茶。
佢未講到飲茶嘅，一定係飲茶。
飲茶， and then like my aunt would come and take me out and stuff. But it was really hard. I think I hadn't I hadn't been back since I was 13, and you know, one of the first things my grandma tells me is like, "Wow, 你要減下肥喎." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, thanks." and then my other aunt comes and she's like, "你着衫着到好似菲傭咁喎."
只可以講好香港。
Sandra 想問，Is she still your aunt?
Yes, and I still love this aunt very much. But yeah, like I think it was one of those experiences that I was like, wow, like 真係好悶咯. And like this relationship with the helper, because in Canada, like we don't have any staff, right? Like helpers in the home living with you doing things, and so I would be like, I'd feel bad to make her like cut an orange for me, and I'd be like, "Oh, I can do it myself." She's like, "No, this is my job," and she'd take it from me.
Yeah,
so it was really different. I had a chance to go back when I was 18, the summer after, and totally different experience. Like I got my bat that pong. I wandered, went up. We lived near the mid-level escalator, and became my favorite escalator. Wow. Like just being able to like take an escalator, go down, and then come up, and yeah, I have one memorable experience going into like a boutique that sold like yoga wear. There's only one person in there, and then like she starts speaking to me in English, I think. And I was like, "Oh, cool! Like you speak English?" And she's like, "Yeah, I study in Canada." I was like, "Oh, where do you study?" And she's like, "Oh, at Queen's University." I was like, "Oh, I study at Queen's University." And then I was like, "Oh, so what's your name?" And she's like, "Joyce." And I was like, "Oh, my name's Joyce too."
Wow.
認真嘅。
and then that following year when we were back at university, we like saw each other and recognized each other.
That's so cool.
但係好係啊，返香港有樣嘢好奇怪，就好多人喺加拿大返去嘅。
Yeah.
即係好 it's strange 嘅。咁嗰年暑假就其實嗰陣時唔會咁諗嘅，16、17歲我唔會咁諗，但係而家都幾覺得嗰陣時係 build up 返種 connection 咯。即係我一個人就冇啊，即係大家都話去冇嘢做啊，去行下旺角啊、深水埗啊、黃金啊，即係好似好雜嘅。即係我都想像到點解你啲 relatives 會唔 encourage。咁但係 once you get to know the place 咁樣，okay yeah but for me 係即係 sort of build up 返原來可能嗰陣時開始有諗香港人，跟住又諗下Canadian 啊咁嗰啲that's another topic。但係好係種咗啲嘢喺度咯，返咗去。
I really echo that. Like I think my dad is very cheap, so like he doesn't like spending money. So from the airport we would take the cheapest bus back into like Central, and so like we would drive first through all the airport, like picking up all the airport staff employees. Exactly. And we'd go like drive around, and I remember one summer going back and just like being like, "Oh, why are all there like tree branches on the ground?" And I realized I had just come in after a typhoon. But it was one of those experiences that like as you take this trip, the closer you get, the more you feel this sense of belonging growing, right? This sense that like, yeah, like I didn't grow up here, but this is still part of my home and this is part of my heritage. So, yeah, like I think back to those times and sometimes getting a longer stay in Hong Kong. Like, I don't know how long you would go back. Would you go back the whole summer?
2 or 3 months, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So I had it, like, I think one time, maybe at least 3 weeks, maybe a month. And my uncle had an extra flat that looked over the Happy Valley racetrack. And so in the mornings, I would, like, wake up and, like, jog along the racetrack and then come home. And it's just being able to create some sort of routine and life in another place. That was really cool. I have a friend who likes to say, like, when you're in your own city, be like a tourist. And when you're in another city, pretend it's your home. And I think it's a really interesting way to live, right? That you keep this sense of curiosity when you're in your own place. You don't just grow stagnant doing the same things, going to the same places in your own home. And when you're somewhere else, really imagine what it's like to make it a home and what it's like to step into other people's shoes. Any reflections on traveling? Anywhere you'd like to go again?
好多喎，
我成個 list 出嚟，list 出嚟真係好多。
Yeah. I want to go to Japan, Italy, Europe. Europe. I feel like I need to go to more.
Yeah.
Just
Just scratch the surface.
Yeah, I just feel like I like history and all that sort of thing. The only thing that I think that is worth mentioning is washrooms. Like, oh my gosh, like I think I spent more money in the Netherlands on washrooms than anything else.
哦係喎，歐洲啲廁所啊，
Because they cost money. It's like a euro or something every time you go to the washroom.
But at least it's available.
Yeah, when you got to find them. Like they're not
Yeah.
like the public restrooms are not that available. But oh man, they're costly.
Your travel budget includes like a washroom budget.
Yeah, like I wasn't expecting it. Honestly, I went to McDonald's and I couldn't go to the washroom unless I paid like $1.
Oh wow.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah,
但係如果你喺麥當勞食嘢咧，買嘢
it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Oh,
You can't
Okay.
like there's a thing where you have to put coins in,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what is this?
I think it's like that in some parts of Asia too.
Yeah. I think it's like water conservation there is very important. That's why. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Can't just go to the washroom for fun anymore.
No, I take that for granted now.
Who wants to go to the washroom for fun? 係玩水？
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I've really enjoyed hearing about your travel experiences. And again, I feel like we're only scratching the surface here. But for our listeners, I hope that you've enjoyed hearing about different travel opportunities and you would share your own with us as well. We'd always love to hear from you. So thanks again for joining us today. Visit us on Instagram, ask questions, leave feedback, offer suggestions. We value your input. And tune in again next week for some more good times on Coffee Bubble Tea Podcast.
Bye.
Bye.